You know, I've kind of been interested in two hives that are side by side, some activity that has me wondering a little bit. One hive looks like they're pretty active. They're flying a lot. I mean, there's goldenrod, they're busy. They're bringing in some maybe goldenrod aster pollen on their hind legs, on their back legs. So I'm thinking, okay, this is normal, but the one next to it, it's a lot less activity than this one. So it makes me curious. I want to know. The only way to find out what's going on between the differences of these two hives is to open the two things up and say, you know, what's going on, right? Like this hive here, I think we can get by with opening it up and finding out why are they so active? Why are there so many bees going in and out? Close that hive up, drop into the one beside it, open that one up and say, what's going on in here? Are they both identical? Why is one foraging more than the other? And that will tell us whether or not the activity of the entrance tells us anything about the hive. Also, bonus tip toward the end of this video, I'm going to take a frame and I'm going to brush the bees off. We're going to inspect both sides of a brood frame to see what's going on with eggs, larvae, and capped over brood. I want to see, is the queen having trouble laying? That's full. The one next to it is full. Let's just work our way across and kind of get an idea of what's full. This was a frame that I took out a few videos ago and it wasn't capped over. It was open cells, sort of, oh, there's a queen. By the way, look at that right up there on this frame. Right in the middle. So we'll isolate her as we continue to work the colony. It's odd that she's up here on a honey super, but nowhere to lay, and there she is walking around. But anyway, this frame was one that I showed you a few weeks ago that wasn't all the way filled or capped over. One that I made years ago to be a piece of comb honey frame, and so they've capped both sides of it. Now when you have the queen on a frame like this, be real careful that you don't actually let her walk away or fall off. But I'm just going to set her right out here, and we're going to make sure that when we lift this frame up that she's going to be on that frame. Now there's no queen in here. We can do a lot of looking around. Since she's up in this super, let's see if there's some spots up here maybe she's laying. And if there is, we'll just put her back down in a lower deep box. Take a look at this frame here. All capped over on both sides, no brood. The next frame over, I can see from here, it's capped over on this side because I can see down in here really well. You can see it's all capped over. The frame next to it is all capped over. Let's put this frame back. I'm going to put it more toward the middle. And we got our other frame that we need to put in that has a queen on it. And then we got our beetle trap to put on in a little bit. And let's go ahead and take this super off. Now let's just take a look and see what's going on with the brood. You know, we're wondering what kind of brood production do we have going into fall? How much bees of winter physiology are being created? This hive is not being fed right now. A light frame. Okay, but if you look here, it's a light frame of nectar. Those of you that are new to bee inspecting, maybe you got a new hive and you don't know how to inspect your hive in the fall, as I've shown you before in other videos, you want to look at your brood. We're specifically looking at not only capped over brood like you see here, but we are also looking for any signs of eggs and larvae. And I do see larvae in these open cells here. But let me show you something that you need to be concerned about. Let me pop in here real quick and encourage you to please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 100,000 by Thanksgiving. That would just be a great Thanksgiving meal for me to enjoy. Seeing 100,000 subscribers, we've topped 97,000. We're less than 3,000 away, so please help me reach 100,000 because I'm working hard to add good quality content for you to make fewer mistakes and keep healthier honeybees and help you just understand bees better. Click on the bell so you'll be notified each time I make some awesome videos for you. Let's get back in that hive. Capped over brood, not a bad brood pattern for the fall, but look, in these open cells here, there's nothing there. So why is that? It could be several reasons. It could be just genetically the bees aren't in a mood to really raise much brood this time of the year, even though they are bringing in nectar, you know, from goldenrod. But my theory has always been that if you feed them right now, that will stimulate them to start laying eggs in those places where we don't see any eggs right now. That's why I think it's important to feed your bees in the fall 1-to-1 sugar water to try to stimulate some brood production. Here again, we have the same thing. And a lot of these cells are being backfilled with honey instead of brood. Now in this case here, this frame does have eggs all the way at the base of these cells. So the queen has been here about a day or two ago and started laying these eggs. You know, when I find the queen and I set her outside the hive and I see eggs like this, I'm hoping that I can find another queen. Because it's possible that some hives do have 2 queens, but beekeepers give up looking because they find the first queen and they don't really look anymore for the second queen. But let's just keep an eye out just in case. No, this one's heavy. It has very little brood on it, so we'll see very little brood from this point on. It's going to be honey on this side here, and on the other side we might have some brood, but wouldn't you guess it? Very traditional pattern for the colony to put bee bread, some pollen and bee bread as we get on the side of the brood nest area. I don't want to put the queen back in just yet because I want to take this deep off and see what's in the deep below it. Looking for brood starting with this frame right here. It's kind of closer to the middle of the brood nest area. Bees of winter physiology. An average amount of capped over brood, that's not bad, but no eggs laid. This is a wired frame, wax foundation, that's why it looks kind of funky. On this side here we have another good frame of capped over brood. Let me move this out of the way. You can see this mostly capped over brood here. Keep in mind that when you're working bees in the fall like this, and you've got a lot of boxes opened up, that you can't dilly-dally. You got to keep moving. Okay, so again, we have brood, a little bit of larvae, not heavy on the egg side. So now we're getting right in the middle where we expect to find the eggs. So we're going to see how's our queen doing about working this bottom box. Normally you don't see the queen this low or eggs because we found the queen up in the honey super. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do about that. What do you do when you find the queen up in the honey super and you got plenty of space down here for her to lay in, but she's up there where she can't lay? Let me show you how to solve that problem in just a minute. This frame actually has eggs in it. A very light frame tells me that it has brood on it. And again, this has capped brood in various stages. So they're setting themselves up for a good overwintering amount of bees of winter physiology. I'm going to glance for the queen, another queen maybe, who knows? I don't see one, don't see a retinue or anything, but I do see lots of capped brood, larvae, and eggs. Same over here. Let's just look, there's a waggle dancer there. But this is capped over brood under here. You got a good amount of eggs and larvae. All right, this is the frame that's going to the picnic table. Here's an example of a frame that I've removed, bees of winter physiology. So we can see what's going on here. The queen has laid some brood. I swept the bees off temporarily. So you can see older larvae above the shadow that I'm trying to use the sun as a backdrop. And as you can see on these other cells, we're trying to determine if there's eggs, larvae, and just what is in the base of these cells. Determining what's in these cells helps us realize, is the queen laying well without being fed? Or would it be more beneficial to feed the bees right now so the queen could be better fed and lay? Because I'm suspecting these cells over here on the edges are not filled up with eggs as you would expect for bees of winter physiology. So all of these, even near the pollen down here, even these places could have potential eggs in them, but they don't. So by feeding the queen, we can generate and stimulate more brood to be laid. What I'm going to have to do is kind of manipulate some frames, because I don't want to put that frame that I have out for video purposes. I don't want to have to take my hive apart again. So we're going to do some frame manipulation. Let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put all my frames back in. So let's put this one back. We need smoke. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We just have one more to put in here. All right, here we go. We're putting our 10th frame in, leveling the frames up as we push this one down. Now we just need to put our deep box back on that we took off. All right, so let's smoke it. We're going to have to work this deep frame that I want to put in the hive into this top deep against this wall right here. So let's go ahead and just start moving these 3 frames over like this as best as we can. Let's move this one over now. It's hard to move 4 at a time, but we can move 3 at a time. Let's smoke it again. All right, let's take our deep frame that I brought. It's a deep frame that's drawn out, you can see here, on both sides. Since it's not populated with any resources, we're going to put it against the wall, because that way it really doesn't interfere that much with the main hive operation in the cluster, because oftentimes they don't fill up the one next to the wall. So we have a super that we need to put back on the hive, but we have a queen that we need to spot and make sure she makes her way back into the hive. All right, the queen isn't on this frame anymore. That means the queen has hopped off and she's walking around. So here's our queen on our top. I set my frame outside the hive on this top cover. I'm gonna go gloveless to get this project done. So you can see the queen right here walking around. Okay. The queen is right here walking around. So I've actually picked her up here. And as you can see, I'm going to try to film this. It's not going to be easy. I'm trying to take my camera and freehand all this stuff. I need a cameraman. So I'm going to try to put the queen in the bottom deep and just let her walk in. All right, let's see if this goes as well as I'm hoping. I've got my queen in my hand. And by putting her in the bottom, she's going to have a better chance at laying down here. Okay, so she walked right in. These bees are flying in. Now we need to put our super back on. So we moved our queen down to the bottom deep. Got a bee in there with me. Bee in my glove. All right, let's see if we can make this happen. Honey super full on top, so let's bypass it. Another honey super on the bottom. Let's see if there's any brood in here by quickly checking the middle frame. See if there's any brood on it. Okay, I see a frame of cells, brood, but I don't see any frames with eggs in them. I have brood, Spotty kept over brood, common for this time of the year. But I still don't see any eggs. Open cells, but no eggs. And I've actually not seen any larvae as well. No larvae. So this is kind of like, okay, is there a queen in there? So now we got to determine nectar. Got to go one over this way. Nectar. So we got to get this deep. We got to get this super off and go down. Let's see what we got. Let's double check this. The brood looks healthy, but there is not a single sign of a larvae or an egg. So we just have to make sure there's a queen in there. That's what's bad about working bees in the fall like this. So easy to get robbed out so fast. That's why I put a robber screen on it. Pull a frame up out of the brood nest area for speed. This one right here. No brood, no queen. Okay, so this hive, for all intents and purposes, this hive is queenless. Oh my gosh, what do you do when you find a hive in October that doesn't have a queen? They've been queenless for at least 8 days or so, and I can't buy a queen anywhere. I could raise one, but they're already pushing their drones out. If I raise a queen, she won't get mated. There's no drones in the air. So what are we gonna do now with this colony? Well, I'm gonna make an upcoming video and I'm gonna publish it in the next week. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do to save this colony because man, it's worth saving. It's a good colony, but they need a queen. How do you put a queen in there late in the year in fall? So be sure and subscribe, click on the bell so you'll be notified when I publish that video. If you've never taken one of my online courses, it's just like this, me teaching you one-on-one. You can watch them at any time at your leisure. You can pause, watch them over any period of time that you want. You're not rushed through it. You have days, weeks, or months to watch them. It's up to you. And also, it's not a Zoom meeting. You're not in there with a bunch of other people. It's just video online courses that you can enjoy. And I've got a lot of footage, not just me doing talking heads like this. A lot of explanation. It will help you. Now, if you're thinking about keeping bees in the spring, first time, you need to take my online basic beekeeping course. This is a fundamental of beekeeping. Please don't start beekeeping without taking a basic beekeeping course. Also, I've got other courses that are more advanced. I've got an advanced beekeeping course, talks more about pests and diseases. I've got a queen rearing course, helps you understand if you want to raise your own queens. I also have courses designed for the seasons, such as a spring management course, online course, and it helps you understand how to avoid swarming, losing half your bees. Also how to super your hives for honey production in the spring, how to make splits if you come out of winter with a lot of colonies. Also got a course for a lot of you right now, how to get your bees through winter. I know you're biting your nails, kind of wondering if you've done everything. Take my Getting Your Bees Through the Winter course online, me teaching you how to do it right. I've got a whole bunch of courses. You can buy my ultimate course if you want. Get all my courses in one bundle. Enjoy fall and winter watching my online beekeeping videos. Please do that. It is so easy as a beekeeper. We've all done it. So easy to make mistakes. So easy to make mistakes in the fall, and your bees aren't going to make it through the winter. You won't see them again in the spring if you make mistakes in the fall. I got a video that talks about fall mistakes. I want you to avoid making these critical mistakes in the fall and do it right. I'll see you over there at this video.